So very warm welcome on the platform, ma'am, and thank you for joining on a short notice.
Thank you, Ajinkya.
Yeah. So, ma'am, before starting the interview, can you just give a brief introduction of yours, and then we'll go forward with the questionnaire.
Sure. Thank you for giving this opportunity to interact with students. Ajinkya, my entire education, my schooling and my graduation has happened in Pune. I am student of Government Polytechnic Pune and then MIT College, where I completed my diploma in engineering in electronics and telecommunication engineering. Immediately after completing my graduation, I started my own company, which was at Ahmednagar, and we were manufacturing antenna coils, transformers, and supplying it to the Videocon group majorly. I spent there good 4 years, and that was actually, helped me a lot to understand business and actually grew my personality as well. So returning back in 2002, I completed my master's from Srinagar College of Engineering, where I stood first. I'm a rank holder of Pune University in my ME course. After that, I joined I-Square IT, which is situated in Hinjawadi, and I worked there in microelectronics and VLSI group, which has become my core research interest, in which I pursued my PhD. My guide is Dr. Shaila Subbaraman, and I did it at Shivaji University, Kolhapur, which I completed in 2013. And in between, I got an opportunity to visit Politecnico di Milano as visiting researcher, where I spent good time, and that international experience also had given a cutting edge to my knowledge, personality, everything. In 2011, I started working with PCCOE in Electronics and Telecommunication Department, where I served as head of the Department of ENTC Engineering, PG coordinator for Embedded System and VLSI course. Then I served good 7 years for Student Development and Welfare as Dean Students Development and Welfare. And currently I am working as Dean Academics at PCCOE. So it's about journey of 22 years after graduation, which has all flavors of working, and that most of the time which I spend with students is really good, encouraging for me, and I like to be with students. So that's all about me in very nutshell. That's what me is. Thank you.
Excellent, ma'am. Excellent introduction. Good to know about that. And ma'am, since you have been associated with, you already mentioned that you have been associated with PCCOE group for last 10 years. So can you give us some insights about PCCOE and some great factors about PCCOE? Although PCCOE is a very famous institute in Pune and in Maharashtra, but your insights will always help.
Yeah, very rightly mentioned that it's really a good college, and I'm very happy to be associated with it for good 10 years now. Pimpri-Chinchwad College of Engineering, we call it as PCCOE, is located in Nigdi. Nigdi is around 20 kilometers from Pune, and it is 23 years of standing we have by Pimpri-Chinchwad Education Trust, and under the leadership of Shri Shankarauji Bajirauji Patil. At Institute, we have 5 undergraduate programs in civil engineering, mechanical engineering, computer engineering, ENTC engineering, and information technology. 6 postgraduate programs in all these core departments. We have a MCA program as well, and PhD research center in mechanical engineering, computer engineering, and ENTC engineering. So in total, we have 3500 plus students on campus. Our institute is NAAC accredited by A grade. 3 programs in mechanical, computer, and ENTC are MBA accredited thrice. Since 2012, we have been receiving these accreditations, and IT has accredited twice. Comparatively, civil is our youngest, you can say, departments, and we are going for the accreditation as well. So if we see the National Institute Ranking Framework, which is known as NIRF, for all past 4 years, we are there in the range of 150 to 200, and that brings a lot of confidence in us. And if you look at the other surveys, which are reputed surveys like Times, DataQuest, etc., we have been really at reputed positions, appreciable positions in such all reputed survey. So overall, these all points says that we are doing good, and that's why we are really. I'm really happy with be associated with PCCOE.
Great, ma'am. Great to hear that. And ma'am, can you also shed some light on how is PCCOE campus? What are the student facilities, and where is it situated exactly? Something like that.
Yeah, when I say Nigadi, it's a huge area, but we are situated very near to Akurdi railway station, just a walking distance of half a kilometer from Akurdi railway station. A good campus where we have invested good in laboratories, especially each department has such specialized lab which are developed in association with industry. We have state-of-the-art infrastructure, good number of laboratories, classrooms, tutorial rooms, very good investment in library, very good library at PCCOE. Then other facilities, if you see, we have sports facilities, indoor, outdoor, a very good environment, conducive environment for studies. Then we have hostels for girls, for boys, mess facility. All these facilities are there. And you will be happy to know that the campus is very nicely kept. So if you see the maintenance, upkeepment, gardening, it's really good. And we have been recipient of the award for Green Campus. So we are as well. And that environment brings in, a lot of energy to students and faculty as well on campus.
Excellent, ma'am. And ma'am, since you have been the Dean of Academics at PCCOE, and since we know that Dean is someone who will have some philosophy which will actually guide an institute or guide a student. So can you shed some light on what is the academic philosophy at PCCOE?
Yeah, we have, lot of efforts have been put up for value-added quality education. So that is what we feel is their need of society. And if you look at the aspirants, they really, are coming forward to illuminate their careers. They want to, ignite the spark of learning into them. And that's why if you see, we try to bring in all those opportunities on campus. If you see the outcomes or, the kind of methodology which we use for academics, our planning is very exceptional, and the methodology which we use for execution is again exceptional. Very stringent academic practices we follow, all reviews and academic reviews, attendance reviews, everything falls, and that's bringing, lot of stringent practices on campus. The real backbone for any educational institute is their faculty. So we have experienced, well-qualified faculty, those who support students to a greater extent in their learning on campus. Then we have good activities, which we, considering this as an engineering education, we know that students might aspire to, start their career in some companies, or maybe they want to go for their higher education, or they are willing to start their own enterprise. So we have kept all activities which will help them, to pursue their whatever they have planned as their career.
Being the dean at PCCOE, and we know that dean has to have that philosophy which will actually help a student or an institute to guide their way. So basically, what is the academic philosophy at PCCOE, and how do you drive it?
See, if we see the philosophy of PCCOE itself, it's value-added quality education. And we feel that that's what is the need of society. And to meet that, because the aspirants who look forward to illuminate their careers, or maybe, ignite the spark of learning between them, and being a technical institute where technology is at par with excellence nowadays, we have very good practices overall, not just in academics, but to ensure that students learn best at the institute. So if you look at the some key attributes which has helped us or which we follow are, exceptional planning and execution methodology. Whatsoever we do it very methodologically with very, micro planning for all activities. Very stringent practices of review, academic conduction. Very stringently we follow those all practices. Then the backbone for any academic institute is its faculty member. So we have very experienced and well-qualified faculty members who are very, eager to share their knowledge and support students in their learning. As I was saying that it being a technical institute, students aspire to different their careers. Maybe they want to go into company and start their career, or they want to go for higher education, or they are willing to start their own enterprise. So considering that these are the three major options which students might select, we have good practices to support their placement activities. We are known for placements. Then we have clubs like GATE, GRE, CAT, all these clubs, and that environment helps students to prepare for these all examinations. Then we have entrepreneurship cell through which students can learn all those skill sets which are required to be an entrepreneur. So if we see the philosophy at PCCOE, it is holistic development of students considering their need and whatever are the expectations of graduate attributes as per the Washington Accord or GAs we know. So as per that, we try to map all those through different activities, course contents and everything. So this is what is the philosophy at PCCOE.
Great, ma'am. And ma'am, since you have been associated with the education sector for a long time now, and we have heard general complaints from the company or from the industry that whatever the curriculum is at the colleges is not very useful when a student joins a company. So being a very good college in Pune area as well as in Maharashtra, how does PCCOE take care of its curriculum, and how do you help in doing that?
This is a very good question. At PCCOE, we are affiliated to Savitribai Phule Pune University, and just from this year, academic year 2020-21, we have received the academic autonomy. So now, we are into setting up our syllabus. First year is already going on. Our structure is defined for this particular batch, and we are detailing out syllabus, and we have got a lot of opportunity to experiment, exercise or implement our learnings for past 20 years, and this is really very good opportunity. So if you see the course contents, what we are thinking or we are planning or we are doing for students under autonomy, if you want to see, we have kept it, all flavors are there. Again, the philosophy is holistic development. If you see students, their own vertical, we have kept very thoughtfully their core courses. The plethora of electives where different verticals of that particular branch can be studied based on students' choice. We call it as program electives, which starts right from their third year, and they can, study more and more such courses. Interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary is a buzzword, and it is really very important for students to be of that particular nature when they want to really find out solution for problems. Right. Because for any solution always comes as a multidisciplinary. So good amount of credits are kept for multidisciplinary or open elective courses where students will be able to learn from other branches, other streams as well. Good number of courses on humanities, social sciences, human values and all those things are also kept so as to ensure the holistic development. To support that, there are many audit courses also thought of, or you can call it as a non-credit courses. There are few compulsory courses. Then to ensure their preparedness for corporate, some courses on their professional development training kind of courses are kept. We have kept life skill courses to ensure joyful learning and some skills on life skill as well. So if you see the curriculum which is being developed for the entering budding engineers, it's really amazing kind of syllabus what structure we could come up with. It has got all flavors. One point which I left was about MOOC courses or online courses. Okay. because this is one way of learning and students must be given that flavor as well. Though we have so many courses, but our focus being project-based learning, student must experience it while learning it. So a lot of project-based learning opportunities are also incorporated while detailing out many syllabus. They can be directly as a course, or few courses are supported by project-based learning. In that case, I can say many of them have laboratories and lot of mini projects are planned around the course content. So this is going to be really very enjoyable journey for students for all 4 years. And I'm really excited as Dean Academics that students really, enjoy that journey of learning.
Absolutely right, ma'am. And since you're talking about curriculum, ma'am, we have seen that the education systems in India and other foreign countries are structured very differently. So, how do you ensure that students studying at your institute gets that flavor as well? And what are the basic differences between foreign countries?
I know, I agree because as I said, I got an opportunity to work at research lab at Politecnico di Milano, and I could sense the difference as well. And as my experiential learning in that particular domain, though we have a lot of white papers which talk about. Currently, I have attended one workshop by AICTE where the student learning assessment the workshop was carried out, and there they have tried to understand that how learning happens in across globe. So this survey was carried out, and I was part of that learning as well. So if you see what we have kept in our syllabus or at PCCOE is, we are really, now working towards collaboration with foreign universities. Let me tell you, 15 plus collaborations are already, are done. And these collaborations are academic and research exchange kind of, view or vision, where we are looking forward for some training certification courses for students, which would be conducted by faculty from such universities abroad. Or there can be, few programs where credit transfers can be done. Students will go there, will study there for 6 months and come back earning those credits. That facility is there. If you see the academic planning or academic calendar, the way we have planned it, that creates, the opportunity for internship every year for students for about 2 months. So if students are willing to go and do some kind of internship at foreign universities, through these collaborations, they can go and they can really work there for 2 months. So a lot of such opportunities are created through these collaborations and as well as our internal planning, so that students can really learn through these all open windows like 2 months, 6 months, or some kind of certification courses, whatsoever suits them better. And I'm quite sure these would help students to a greater extent. This I was talking about BTech programs, but then with few universities, we are also talking about, what you can say dual degree kind of thing, where for M courses, they can do their part of work over here and they can go complete their part of work there. And they're going to get dual degree from our institute as well as degree from that foreign university. So there are multiple opportunities which we are trying to create, and I'm quite sure students will take good benefit of this and they'll get that flavor as well, which we are worried about.
I definitely hope that they get the flavor, ma'am. And ma'am, since we have spoken about the academic philosophy at the PCCOE, I just wanted to know, being the Dean of Academics at PCCOE, what is your philosophy of leadership? And how do you describe your leadership style? And how do you take your team with you?
See, I guess being Dean Academics in an academic institute brings you down where you need to, deal with at all cadres.
Right.
Not just given a small group and you are going to work with that particular group. It's that every individual on campus, if they're faculty, they're associated with academic delivery. And similarly, many administrative staff, maybe in laboratory, maybe in exam conduction, I'm going to come across this as an entire, the entire team is going to work towards the academic achievements of institute. And if we see it in this particular perspective, I'm quite sure single leadership style is not going to work. It's going to be like, you have to be quite dynamic when you use your leadership style. Let me give you an example. If now we are detailing out syllabus, we are working towards a framing of syllabus and everything. That gave me an opportunity to interact with program owners, or you can call them as a head of the departments, or deans, sometimes maybe deans. Right. So if I am working with them, then democratic leadership is going to work, because if everybody has their own say and we can deliberate on that, then we can come up with very good program structure for students, in the interest of student, in the interest of institute. So there maybe democratic leadership would work. Sometimes I need to work in setting leadership mode as well, because many deadlines are to be met, many for legal bodies or for academic calendar. There with democratic, I must show the pace setting leadership kind of thing. So when you see the maturity level at M4, I guess situational leadership of M4 would work, where you are going to work with peers in that particular case. While there are few other senior faculty members at the institute, they are not actually at administrative position, but their experience is really good. They are also working with institute for more than 10-15 years, or they are right from beginning, and they have experience of more than 15 years. With them, visionary and democratic leadership, the combination of that would work, because they are going to contribute in a greater sense. Though they are not at administrative position, but they can bring in a lot of changes in the teaching philosophy or teaching practices at the department. They can really play as a role model for their team. And that's why with them, I guess, situational leadership M3, maturity level M3 somewhere, is going to help me out in working with that. And the next set of people is junior faculty. Lot of dynamism over there, lot of good ideas they have, but little bit hand-holding is required. So maybe their coaching leadership would work, or maybe situational leadership M2. And if they're given right opportunity, right kind of, hand-holding, then probably they will come out as a very bright members for us for coming years. With lot of good ideas, lot of dynamism, they can bring lot of changes at the institute, which we are looking forward to. So in my view, single leadership won't work. Even you have a single very small group, but then if you look at this, the entire band of cadre of faculty, band of people, then probably I guess all the types of leaderships must be put at use so that we can achieve our targets.
Absolutely, ma'am. The combination of all types of leadership is I think, a dynamic kind of a leadership. And ma'am, we have discussed about PCCOE. So now, if you can tell me on a personal note, how do you define a success, and how do you give inputs to students or the junior faculties to build their roadmap as well as your roadmap?
See, for me, it's very simple. Success, I don't see that if I reach to that particular place, I will be successful. Right. Every day that I'm successful if I'm better than yesterday. Right. And I really work hard improving my personal performance. To whatever best I can do, I try to do that, because I know if I do best, it's going to bring in best results for me, and not just for me, but it is going to contribute to the institutional development as well. Wherever I work, whatsoever is my workplace, if I work hard, that is going to add to the achievements of that particular workplace. That's what is my philosophy. And this is how I term as success, that I don't compare myself with anybody for that matter. It's just what I was doing yesterday and what I'm doing today. Now, when it comes to students as well, or for myself as well, see, it's always a journey of excellence. So, wherever you stand today, you have to march ahead. And now, this is like potential difference of 2 points. So maybe at one point you have this capabilities, and if you want to reach to this particular point, you need this kind of skill sets, this type of mindset, this type of knowledge, or so on and so forth. So if you have that, that's good. But if you understand that I want to reach there, and I want this knowledge, I want this skill sets, then there is no other way than, building up on your knowledge, skill sets, and attitude. So this KSA, stands true for everybody, that wherever they want to go, they must acquire that and reach there and enjoy. Enjoy while acquiring as well, and enjoy when you reach there. So this is what is being my philosophy of working, and I, advocate this to all students as and when I get opportunity to talk to them. And I've been getting a lot of such opportunities while working as Dean Students Development. So this is how I used to help them out, and this is how I had planned the entire plan of student development at PCCOE as well. That at all 4 years you must have milestones that I'm going to reach here, build on that, go to the next state. And obviously, whatever is expected at the end of 4 years, you are, going to gradually build upon that. That's the philosophy.
Ma'am, definitely this is, I am very sure that students at PCCU have definitely got help from this. And I am very sure students who are coming on the College Junior website are also going to get help from this. And ma'am, one more thing I wanted to know. So basically, since you have been associated with the younger generation and you are in contact with them on a daily basis, so what do you think are the major challenges that they'll be facing for that matter?
Ajinkya, truly speaking, I really see a lot of opportunities for youngsters. Right. The kind of technology I have at hand, opportunities, exposure, and learning environment, I really see a lot of opportunities for them. But I'm little afraid on two fronts, and that is, that's what I really observe around, is about their physical, emotional health. Okay. What is, many students, I'm not talking about all students, but now many students are, not going for the exercise, good meals and everything that I can observe. And the major observation is on a girl's side majorly. But physical is going to be very, very important for their career, and emotional health equally. Depression, loneliness, stress is not going to, they'll not be able to bring out best out of them if they are going to face these two issues of physical and emotional health. So I'm on opinion that students have a lot of opportunity. They just need to ensure that their quotients, all quotients, like it's not IQ, but their emotional quotient, their spiritual quotient, their health quotient, everything is good. And on that good platform, the sky is going to be limit for them. This is how I see for students.
Definitely, ma'am. And ma'am, just a last question for you. Ma'am, how do you define what is out-of-box thinking? And what do you think, any message for the students who think out of the box? As in, can you explain that, please?
Ajinkya, now if you see even the Atmanirbhar Bharat kind of thing, or a lot of entrepreneurship we are expecting from students, unless and otherwise they have, out of box thinking, I don't think in true sense we will achieve all those things. So, what I have been observing, that many a times, we have forgotten to ask why. We get, pushback, like from society, maybe from colleagues or friends, or maybe from our own brain itself. And we say that this is how we have been doing. So we'll continue doing in this way only. So there is no innovation. There is no out of box thinking. Unless and otherwise you stop there, you think around that, why am I doing this in this particular fashion? And if I change the way, what can be alternatives? Because, I am also a trainer for, entrepreneurship development program from Singapore Polytechnic. So they have their program and I'm trainer for them. So the very first thing is, for a single problem, they have to come up with 6, 7, 8 different solutions.
As we have discussed, what do you define as out of the box thinking, and how do you support a student, or any message for the student who is out of the box thinker?
If we look at the current need and the way our national education policy has come up, or the kind of initiatives government is taking, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, entrepreneurship, these are buzzwords. And to come up with, and even we know, if you look at the IPs and everything, there we largely fail, and students must start thinking in that particular direction. And for that, many a times what I observe is we lack in asking why. It's our own mentality kind of thing. We get pushback, maybe from our colleagues, maybe from our own our society, or maybe our own mindset, which says that this is how we have been doing. This works fine, so I'm not going to change. I'm not going to alter. I'm going to continue with this particular way of working, way of doing, or whatsoever, howsoever it works. But unless and otherwise, we ask why. Why are we doing like this? Is there any alternative which can bring in, change? Maybe their performance, maybe size, maybe money, maybe cost, or maybe, human hours and everything. For all such things, if we start thinking of why, then students will have multiple solutions for single problem, and we can think plethora of new products which students can develop. I was referring to one of my one more association, and that is I am a trainer of entrepreneurship development program at Singapore Polytechnic, which is PIN. So in that, we make students to come up with multiple solutions for a single problem. They have to define for which problem they are going to work, and they should bring in at least 4 or 5 different solutions for the same problem. And then they have made to compare those all solutions and find out which would be appropriate, again in empathy study, which would fit proper for society. So for all those things, what they need is to think out of box. And if we can develop that particular attitude in our students, if students really, imbibe that in themselves, then we are not far from Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is what I feel, and this is what is the message for all youngsters, because we are really looking forward to Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Excellent, ma'am. Excellent.
Thank you.
It was an excellent interview, and thank you very much for joining us on a very short notice. I am very sure that the audience at College Dunia are going to get greatly benefited from this interview, and we look forward to see you in person, ma'am, very shortly. And we hope that the lockdown things open up and we meet as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ajinkya. Thank you. And this is really very good initiative from College Dunia, because this is going to help students to understand. And as I said, their exposure would increase. And this is going to be of greatest help to students in this particular pandemic situation, where students are really not able to come to college campus to see before, take any decision. So it's really going to help them out. I appreciate efforts or this initiative from College Dunia, and I wish you for your future endeavor. Thank you very much for giving this new opportunity.